Okay.
Wait, wait.
Could you please state your name
For the record, for the record, my name is Justin Holland.
and could you please tell me where you reside?
I reside at 21 Morris Street, New Rochelle, New York.
Okay, cool. Being born and raised in New Rochelle and knowing the many different aspects of it pertaining to the poorer neighborhoods as opposed to the not so poor neighborhoods, do you think you would be able to pinpoint the different points of economic segregation in the poor neighborhoods as far as classes are concerned?
Yes. I gotta do that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Alright, well, we have housing, where we have the projects and we have the Hollow and we have City Park, which is basically for housing projects for low income families. Um, and then you have where I live over here is like townhouses, but it's right next to those areas. But then you also have what you call that downtown New Rochelle that has all the big houses, and then it's right by the water, And the way things are separated is actually kind of funny because on this side where it's supposedly the low income side, the low income housing for the low income families, you find more commercial things as far as like stores and just it's always there's so many places for you to spend money as in terms to like the more residential side where it's really mostly just houses. But like that, like I always notice that separation because as soon as you cross like Huguenot and then Main Street, it's a totally different type of vibe. Um, you know, we got the liquor store over here, then you have the 24-hour stores, and it's like it does bring like a total whole new type of element. Like even in Pelham, you go to Pelham, which is like a really small town, but it's mostly residential, and there's a lot of big houses. And it's like you can't even drive through certain streets after a certain time at night. So that's definitely a huge difference. You know,
Um, do you have an idea of why you think it's like that?
so well, money. I feel like all of that revolves around money. Like I said, this would be considered the low income side of New Rochelle. So you have people, I guess, buying property, and first thing they want to do is open up a store or something, or like all right, perfect example on North Avenue. There's like 8 convenience stores, 8, you know, quote unquote 24 hours. So they're not allowed to be 24 hours anymore, but they used to. And on the same block, nonetheless. One is on one corner, and one is on the next corner. And these businesses thrive. You understand? So it's kind of crazy that on the same block, you have two stores that are basically the same that still can produce a lot of money, and it's in the low income side of the town or whatever. So it's all about money, I believe, and consumers, consumers and producers, and there's been studies on consumers and producers, and it's always the people with the that don't generate a lot of money that are the number one consumer. So that when you look at it like that, it makes a lot of sense why all these businesses and stores and everything are on the side where it's quote unquote the um, the low income side.
Okay. And do you think that things being the way that they are, like with the differences between the two, that they have an influence as to how the people react to certain things, as far as like violence or uh, just behavior at all?
You're talking about the money situation, or just the business situation, or just
The
the low
money
income,
situation,
everything.
the way that things are set up,
Okay.
you know.
All right. Well, I mentioned the projects in the Hollow and City Park. I mean, these are low income family housing, right?
Hmm.
But what it does is it's a little bit of space, but a lot of people live there. So it's like whenever you have people on top of people, it's kind of like you know, you, even in any situation, whenever you have somebody right on you, and it's just like it does create a certain type of environment.
Hmm.
Not saying that people can't get along or people aren't um, capable of making better decisions for themselves, but at the same time, when you in experiments, they always try to make the environment as part of the control of the experiment. So it's like no matter what you do, you're always going to be a product of your environment, no matter what, no matter how you know bad or good your environment is. It definitely will have a direct effect on who you are and how you act and how you perceive things. So then you have all right the 24-hour store. It's like okay, you could go outside any time of night and see people just in front of the store. Like you understand what I'm saying? So it's just like that. Like all right, let's imagine this through the eyes of somebody who doesn't have this in their neighborhood. Because I mean, I've had this in my neighborhood, so it's like it's not nothing to me. So it's like I'd look at it and I wouldn't think twice about it. But for somebody that hasn't experienced this in life, it's like they'd be all like kind of like wide eyed, like wow, like store stays open all night. Like that's late night, late hours. Shit does happen.
Hmm.
Part of my language, regardless. But like I said, it's all elemental, and you making it's like baking a cake. And you putting all the ingredients in. At the end of the day, that cake is gonna take form, and it's gonna be a cake because of all the ingredients you added to it. Now you have the 24-hour stores, you have the people on top of the people, and you have all these liquor stores. You know what I'm saying? You could go like every one
Couple of
block.
blocks.
Yeah, it's a liquor store. Okay, so it's just like for it's poison, regardless like what how you feel about it. It is poison, and it's so readily available because like we just said, every couple of blocks is right there.
More so here
Then on the
than.
other side, like on the other side, it's like they have like wine stores, you know,
Hmm.
and there's a
They have the
difference.
liquor stores too, but
They
it's not
do.
as much of
It's
an
not as
abundance of.
right, right,
Yeah.
and like I said, it's just the whole feel of it's a clear divider, like Main Street and Huguenot. It's like a clear divider between what they call, I guess, uptown and downtown. Like if you go to like past Trinity School, like all those houses are used. Like sometimes we just go over there,
Hmm.
because we like to fly kites by the water, and and we're just driving. We're like, wow, look at all these houses. They're like huge, and
Hmm.
it's kind of hard to believe that it's the same town like that you live in. But it is. And the funny thing about that is, a lot of my friends that don't live in Rochelle, like from cities and boroughs and whatnot, all of this is like by the water to them.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
understand what I'm saying? Like it was like one of my homeboys, Johnny from the Bronx, and this was like heaven to him. And I'm just like, well, there's like trying to explain to him what we're talking about right now, as far as the clear, classifications between economic so-called quote unquote classes. But to him, this is all good. Like my house is great. It's fucking wonderful. He never had to go across town for him to feel like how I felt when I go over there. Because right here, it was like, wow to him. And when I went to his hood, it's like, I forgot, I think it's called the Tracy Tower or something like that in Bronx.
Yeah.
Right.
Over there in Jerome Avenue.
Right. It's like a city just in itself. Like you go in there, it's like go across a bridge. It's like a moat, like almost like you go across the bridge. This big ass building, or these buildings, and they got their own like everything. They even got a store in there. Like you understand what I'm saying? So it's just like, man, like it's like New Jack City. Like I'm just like me. Like I said, I'm wide eyed. Like wow, like y'all got your own store. That's like that's kind of crazy. But it's like people compacted in a small area, and it's just like high volumes of people. I feel like in small areas always contributes to the crime rate, I believe.
Now, do you think that the schools give off an effect? Like, do you think that the schools show different classes of people? Like, do you think that has any type of effect on with the mixture? Do you think there's more of a mixture in the schools, or do you think that it's certain schools that place certain kids?
Well, all right. I can only speak from personal experience, and like I don't like out here that they have the zoning thing, and like depending on where you fall at in the zone when you go to whatever school. But I remember they always had names for the schools, like, oh, that's the black school, or that's the Mexican school, or that's the white school. And it was just like so funny because like every school I went to, I felt like was diverse. I remember in middle school, it was like we had, problems between the black kids and the Mexican kids. And my sister, she went to another middle school. There's like two middle schools in Newark. Isaac is where we went to, and what was it, Albert Leonard. My sister went to. It's like all the way in like damn near, right? It's like damn near, what's that?
In the woods.
Romantic, like almost Wackville area. Like so, it was just like that school never had the problems that our school had. Like we had real life issues. Like I remember,
kind of like broken up into groups
right.
of different races, I guess, ethnicities.
Yeah, and it's funny because it didn't. To me, it just like it didn't really make sense because like everybody knew everybody, and everybody came into this school from another school, and everything was fine. Like in elementary school, everything was fine. But I guess when we got here, it was just like everybody just kind of like separated into their own group. And when I knew it was real, when I knew it was like so real, it was like the last day of school, and instead of doing the regular thing that we were supposed to do, they called everybody to the auditorium. And they was like, yo, we understand that kids are having problems with other kids and everything is, escalating, violence is escalating. And they was like, yo, the police are here. We have metal detectors. Like, if anybody has a weapon, just drop it right now. Just put it on the floor. And nobody's going to ask you no questions. Everybody's just going to walk through, but do not walk through this metal detector with anything on you because you will be arrested. And in my mind, I'm just thinking like, damn, this is middle school. And then just hearing all the shit that was just hitting the floor. Like, it was just like, I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, this is crazy. So, I like nothing like that. I never heard nothing like that happen in that Albert Leonard.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what was the cause of all that. I don't know, but I don't know. I feel like within schools itself, we have a budget crisis, quote unquote, across. They say like I guess the whole United States, but in New York especially, like we have like a budget crisis as far as education goes, and it's just like you have to wonder like that has to have an effect on the teachers and how much effort they're putting in. Like you understand what I'm saying? And then you have to factor in, well, if the teacher's not getting paid and they don't feel like their efforts are being rewarded, and they're giving the minimum effort, how much effort do you think the child is going to put in?
It's basically wondering which ones are in it for the money and which ones are in it for actually trying to make sure that the kids get something out of it.
Right. So it's like a flawed system that perpetuates on itself. It's like a factory of broken things. But like, how could this factory of broken things produce something that's not broken? Like we as far as I know, I'm not a money person. I'm not a finance guy. But as far as I know, we pay taxes, and the money is divided by, let's say, people on a board, a committee or whatever. They divide the taxes that we all pay for this and that and this and that. But at the same time, it's just like they're always crying that the school is not getting enough money. The school is not getting enough money, and it's just like you gotta wonder, like, so where's all the money going? So I don't know. Like I just feel like priorities, as far as especially when it comes to like politics and things of that nature, I feel like priorities just go askew. Like if we really believe or want to believe that the children are the future, then you gotta invest in your future. And I don't feel like society like does that as much as it should, as much as it professes that it wants to. So.
Okay. Now, would you say that because of it being this way, that it has an influence on the paths some of the people take, or the path that you ended up taking from then till now?
Absolutely. I remember, all right, now we're going from junior high to high school. High school, it was still a lot of bullshit, but more so people mellowed out. And you started seeing, more intermingling in there. Like, as far as, from elementary school to middle school, people just separating. High school, you see more intermingling. But coming out of high school, it's like everybody went in a different direction. And it was just like, at first, you really don't notice it until like, like in school you have all types of friends, but when you leave school, it's like you don't see those friends anymore because everybody kind of like goes off on their own. I mean, I still stayed in contact with my black friends because they were around. So we were all around. But you have to bump into one of your white friends from school. They actually, not saying that black kids don't graduate and do stuff, but more so the white kids definitely, once they graduate, you definitely see them. Next time you see them, it'll probably be like in some type of professional setting. Like I remember I bumped into one of my homeboys. He was working at a bank. Like, you understand what I'm saying? It's just like shit like that. I'm not saying that I couldn't have went the same route and been working at a bank, but at the same time, it's just like, I don't know, like they like I said before, like about the environment thing. That I don't believe that it limits you like that, but I definitely feel like what you see is like more or less what you believe you're capable of. And like I said, I don't want to make no excuses for nobody or make it seem like what's done over here can't be done over here, but it's just like what you see is kind of like what you believe like
Kind of like the whole "don't do as I say, don't
Kind of like, all right, kind of like,
do as I don't do as I do as I say" kind of thing.
right, where it's just like, all right, coming from our nation has a rich racial history, right? Now, years and years ago, they didn't have the opportunities that we have today. But like today, it's like we don't take advantage of a lot of those opportunities simply because it's still like from then to now, it hasn't been that long, and also it's like our parents work hard, or work hard jobs. So us seeing that, we thinking, okay, well, even if it's not a conscious thought that we thinking this, we thinking like, all right, I'm gonna grow up, I'm gonna get a job. You know what I'm saying? Not a lot of our parents went to college, so even though we don't consciously think that we're not gonna go to college, it's like, all right, I'm gonna get a job and grow up and get a job.
That was embedded. That was
right.
Like,
and even when they tried in school, it kind of was like, I don't know. But yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Like it goes like we always say, like we just said, being a product of an environment, but still trying to make an effort and become a factor, like from a product to a factor. You understand what I'm saying? And it's just like, I remember when one of my friends made it to the NFL, like the National Football League, and he was a superstar. And that was just like, it bugged me out because it was somebody that I knew who really, chased the dream, followed the dream, and made it. And it was just like, it was just so inspiring, and I felt like, all right, this is going to change a lot of things for a lot of people because kids are going to be able to see this and be able to say, hey, somebody from where I'm from made it. I can make it too. And if there was more of that, then things would probably be a lot different, because not having as much as the next is not really a hindrance. It's really more like it's more like a privilege to not have, to see what things are like and not have, and learn to struggle and learn to survive is actually sharpens you. So, you could go from being broke to rich. You'll just appreciate things that much more. But if you go from rich to poor, it's like your whole life ended. You crushed, like you don't have anything. You have so much, but you don't have anything. So, I feel like it's good to come from not having a lot, so you know exactly who you are, because people define themselves by things sometimes. Like sometimes we try to use things to define us as people, but without things, it's more or less, you don't have that distraction. You don't define yourself by anything material. Like you learn yourself because you've been in situations where it was just you and the people around you, and genuine love. Like genuine love is like something that a lot of people don't have. They don't even know what that's like. I mean, and it's funny because a lot of people that I come into contact with always, they have me at such a high regard just simply because I'm genuine and I'm honest, and I always try to help people if I can, and they'll look at me like not for nothing, but like like I'm something so special. And to me, I understand, but at the same time, I'm just a regular person. Like I'm not hardened by certain things. But to somebody who's never had that or never appreciated that, never had that, they don't know. They don't know. Like they never come into contact with that, so they didn't know people could be like that. Like I keep talking about my friends from like the cities and boroughs and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you gotta be so hard, you gotta be so guarded. But then it's just like you come around me, it's just like I'm not like that. I'm not like a guarded individual. I'm completely open. I'm at ease, and it's just like it's also, it's kind of infectious because when you're around somebody like that, you tend to let your guard down. You tend to be a little bit more open. So I don't know. I think we went crazy off subject just now, dude.
No, that was good. That
Okay.
was good. All right. So knowing what you know, do you feel like maybe if community was a little bit more involved with what was going on, like the people in these poorer neighborhoods were a little bit more involved with what was going on, that it could change how things are in these neighborhoods? Or do you think that it is what the people are gonna make it to be?
I believe that the people could have way more impact on the environment simply because organization is the key. If you're organized, you have so many more opportunities because your preparation. You know, opportunities and preparation go hand in hand. If an opportunity presents itself and you're not prepared, then you lose out on that opportunity. So it's best to be organized so you can be prepared for opportunity, and you make your own opportunity. Like if the community came together, here's what would happen. Nobody could just come in our community and just do whatever they want. Like as far as building something, they want to build something here. Community gets together. Do we want this here? Yes or no? We don't want it here. No, you can't do this here. You understand what I'm saying? Like whatever course of action that has to be taken through City Hall or whatever, people would voice their concerns, and we get that out of here or whatever. You understand what I'm saying? Let it be known that this is not what we want here. Or even as far as crime. I'm not saying this is a high crime area, but at the same time, there's some things that go down that you don't want in your community. You don't want around where your children are at, or where the children are at, where they're playing at. Community, if community was more organized and more active, we could just simply go to whoever's house, whoever's doing the bullshit. Listen, you can't do this shit here. Like who's gonna argue with the whole neighborhood? You can try, but we're together and we say this is not happening here. And economically, if people came together economically, we could start our own businesses in our own communities. You understand what I'm saying? And but at the same time, it's just like for whatever reason, we always look outside for the answer.
It's something that's good.
Right. And it's just like a couple of things that I've been reading put new spins on, a couple of things I've read already, like, and it's just talking about taking action and just being whatever it is you think you're waiting for. You understand what I'm saying? We are the ones that we're waiting for. We are the ones that we're waiting for. So that's how I feel about
that. Okay. Well, thank you. I'm Shanika Thompson, and that pretty much concludes this interview for that. I'll be back again soon. Thank you very much.